Look at that. We are back for a Monday. I can't believe I'm doing this show after last night's showing by the Green Bay Packers, but we have to do it. We have to talk about it.
Yeah, we do. Hey, I'm really proud of you for getting back on the horse, so to speak.
Hey, I'm only doing this because of right here, the star.
If anything,
Super Bowl.
That's just going to jinx me and my team.
It's not going to.
Super Bowl or bust. Our side, that's not good. Super Bowl or bust. Oh, I mean, I don't know. They're supposed to win games. It was a big win against the Giants.
Big.
The first half was not very good.
Seems like Dak plays like Aaron Rodgers sometimes with these throws.
Why are you talking about Aaron Rodgers now?
Well, no, because he's thrown, I mean, let's face it. I think what happened with that Davis throw over the middle with Rodgers last night was he was expecting Davis to cut off the safety with his route, and that didn't happen. And I think Dak is having some issues where, like, CD a couple of times didn't run the right. I mean, in the vicinity, yes, but yourself, if you cut off a route or if you decide to take the deeper and the guy is throwing on time, there's so many things that can make the quarterback look bad.
I was listening to Sports Talk Radio in Dallas over the weekend, and some of those guys are talking about the fact that they are still working through some chemistry issues with Dak and his receivers. Now, granted, he's been back a few games now, but you know how that chemistry has to develop, and he was out. And so maybe they're still working on those issues. Now, it showed me a lot in that second half that they were able to score some points, and the defense was playing really, really well. But the other thing is, yeah, I'm glad it was a division win. I'm not sold on New York either. I mean, they're not. I don't think they're that good. Right. I think there's some douchey coaches in college football and pro football, and Brian Dable's one of them.
Yeah, he's a complainer. There's no doubt about that.
He's a douche. I think Nick Sirianni's a douche.
Yeah, I believe
so. I think that Josh Heupel is a douche. I think that Jimbo Fisher's a douche. And then I also think that Brian Kelly's a douche at LSU. So those are my douchiest coaches. That's the list of the 5 douchiest coaches out
there. I just want Dallas to beat Philadelphia bad.
Well, you know what? If Philly continues to do like they're play like they're playing, which however you feel about where Philly is or where Green Bay is, I know it's probably a sore topic. Philly might have everything wrapped up by the time we play on Christmas Eve. It'll be a present to us.
Right. And maybe that's the case. I don't know. But there's got to be a way. I mean, when Kaepernick was running around like crazy against the Packers, there's got to be a way to shut this type of quarterback down. And a lot of it is staying home. Don't let him get up the middle or around the edge. You got to stay at home on your reads.
Yeah. So Philly's upcoming schedule: Titans this weekend, Giants, Bears, Cowboys. They win those 3, Titans, Giants, and Bears. They may have it locked up already.
Locked up at that time, yeah. They could.
I mean, of course, I would love to go into Christmas Eve having to possibly playing for the division. But as long as we stay in that first wild card spot, I mean, I'm good. You got to get in the tournament, right, Jeff? And that's what they say, right?
I mean, I always go back to the 2010 season. The Packers were the last seed to get in. The last. And they won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So you get in, you get a run going. You'd never know what can happen.
Yeah, and the great thing about Dallas, they don't really have a home field advantage.
No.
You can't say, oh, man, I'm afraid to play Dallas at home. Nobody really says that.
Well, I think what people should be worried about on road or home is San Francisco.
Yes.
Their defense is looking more and more like a Super Bowl winning defense.
And to think that they were going to go with Trey Lance, and the only reason Garoppolo's there and they're having this success is because Trey Lance got hurt.
Right. I mean, let's face it, Garoppolo is going to be your Trent Dilfer kind of quarterback. You know,
and he's already been to a Super Bowl.
You know, he's not going to make the mistakes, hopefully, and that's what they need. With that defense, if they can put 14 points, 21 points on the board, that defense is going to win. So I'd worry about San Francisco right now more than anybody. And I think they're the type of defense that would be able to beat Philadelphia. But I also think Dallas can do it too because they have Micah Parsons. I think he is a guy that can run Hurts down. And I think he's the guy that has to start with him. He can't play like he did against the Packers. You can't play him like that.
No,
you got to let him go.
Yes.
You know, and I think
I'm
that's
not sure. So whatever the Packers defense was doing wasn't working.
Right. Yeah. I think they say now today that, you know, they don't think Barry's gone, that Joe Barry's going to stay. I don't understand that because evidently he's not getting the scheme to the players so the players can understand it.
But the question is, do you have the players in the first place?
Well, you put a lot of draft picks, high draft picks in that defense, and if they're not the ones, then who is wrong then? Then you got to look at who's making the decisions to draft these guys. Because what happened to Wyatt? I thought he was supposed to be the second coming of Kenny Clark, and he was going to help Kenny Clark like crazy brought him in from Georgia. The two guys there. I mean, Walker's having a pretty good year. And
yeah, man, that
linebacker
return, that full return, I thought that was going to swing the momentum.
I thought so too. I really did.
Because we know that Philly can turn the ball over.
Right.
The problem is their margin for error when you're playing them is so thin. You got to capitalize on the turnovers, which is what the Commanders did. But then you also have to score some points.
I don't understand why these officials are missing holding calls like crazy. And then they
hold every play, though, right?
They completely missed, though, that snap debacle that Philadelphia had, where Kelsey never let it out of his hand. So, I mean, I don't understand how they missed that when they're right there. I know, yes, we get to see it on a replay or whatever, but you knew something was up. Even with the naked eye right away when the play ran, you knew something was up. He either fumbled it or something happened because all of a sudden the other guy had the ball.
It was almost a butt fumble.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, other than Kelsey holding it up on his ass, until somebody grabbed it. But, I mean, right there, illegal snap. I believe that's the call on something like that. So, but it wasn't the officials. I mean, the defense is just I'm so sick of, just like I was with Zeke, but I see that Zeke pulled it out on Thursday, the eating. He came back.
But that's his role. That's what he's going to be doing. I mean, he's not going to be the guy that's going to get you 100-plus yards rushing. He's going to get select carries, and that's the role that he's going to be playing with Pollard.
I just don't understand with somebody like
a demotion over the other or anything like that.
Everybody's yelling about Rodgers' contract. Well, guess what? Jair Alexander's contract, he hasn't lived up to it.
There's a lot of contracts
he makes
that
one play.
To be in there's some issues with a lot of guys' contracts on the Packers.
Alexander, he makes one play, all of a sudden he's got the sword out, putting it in his belt. I mean, enough with that. When you shut somebody down, then you don't do that, right? I mean, I guess
Zeke do it a couple times on Thanksgiving, but that's okay.
But Zeke had some nice runs, so I mean, all right, I get that. But if you're continuing getting beat, then you shouldn't be, doing anything out there. And it doesn't fire anybody up when you do it. You look stupid doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Jalen Smith used to celebrate for nothing.
Right. Jalen actually had a pretty good game against the Cowboys. I was actually, surprised to see that because remember the Packers tried to give him a shot and it didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work.
But no, but there was a lot of things. I mean, I enjoyed the whole Dallas game. I thought they played a good game. Now it wasn't.
I would take a better first half, but it showed me in the second half, because that's what's going to happen, man. You could get down in a game and then have to pull it out. Like in the playoff game against San Francisco, they went down and never came back. And it was a little too late. So I was concerned. But once again, man, I'm glad that Dallas pulled it out, but I didn't think New York's that good. I never had. So and we're not going to get into the debate. Did New York lose the game or did Dallas win the game? It's a division win. You know what? We swept them for the season. We're good.
The other games, I was sad to see Minnesota won again, but they're having a lucky year. And, that's almost better sometimes than being good if you can be lucky, because they've been lucky. I
really thought New England was going to pull that out.
I did.
Because I thought Belichick was going to have something up his sleeve. But
So
again, I was wrong.
Then the Detroit playing.
Man, that team, they play so hard.
Campbell's going to get that turned around. I really believe he's the right coach up there. I
believe that also. For a 4-7 record,
right?
How many games were close? Like, I'm just looking at it right here.
They have the same wins as the Packers.
They lost to the Eagles 38-35. They lost to the Vikings 28-24. Lost to Seattle 48-45. They had a couple blowouts. They lost to the Dolphins 31-27. So right then and there, that's 4 wins. That's a 4-game swing.
Right.
We hadn't even gotten into that Bills game. Then they had a 3-game win streak after they lost to the Dolphins. But that's one of those teams I root for. Like, I kind of root for the Browns, and they pulled one out against old man Brady.
Not many calling. Have you heard anybody calling today for Brady's head like they do Rodgers?
I think the narrative has already been out there that he's done. That was established a couple weeks ago. The new narrative now is, of course, Rodgers, that Rodgers is done.
Right.
So it swings. There's a different story every week and a new narrative to be established. So the new one is Aaron Rodgers. And I'm not sure if you're ready to get into it, if you want to continue talking about other games, because I know we're going to talk a lot about Rodgers.
The other games that went on, like you said, Tampa Bay losing to the Browns, I think was a shock.
Get this. Tom Brady was 2-18-0 when having a 7-point lead or more going into 2 minutes in the game. And now he's 2-18-1. Thank you to the Cleveland Browns.
Wow.
And Amari Cooper. Now everybody's going to say Dallas should have kept Amari instead of going to get OBJ.
Now, is OBJ signing, or is he in Miami having a good time and getting on a plane drunk and falling asleep and then getting asked to leave? Is he going to the Dolphins? Is this what we're hearing right now?
With that happening, I hope that squashes anything about him going to Dallas. If Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones are smart people, they have to say, wait, we were skeptical about the signing in the first place, and now that something's going on with him, maybe that's a sign. You know how you get that weird feeling in your gut when you know you're going to do something wrong and you shouldn't do it?
Right.
I think that's what this is.
Why is there music playing, Tracy?
I don't hear it.
You don't hear it? I hear it. So I got to figure that out now.
We've got some ghosts in the machine, man.
Something's happening today. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck happened, but
are we in Mercury retrograde? You ever heard
you know what happened is that I moved. I'm actually doing the show on my MacBook Pro.
Well, yeah, you're in your nice studio down the street.
And I'm actually
at the halfway house.
Yeah. So I'm actually jeez, you are something.
I hope they had a good turnout for the Thanksgiving dinner.
They did.
I bet they did. I bet there was a line out the door.
So I am sitting in my living room. As you can see, I'm going to move that way. See, there's your boss. Look at that.
He's always looking over your shoulder. It's kind of ironic.
Which he does a lot at the shows too. So, he's like you, checking to make sure I'm not in trouble. But No, you watch the Brady game. You know, their defense is still pretty good. There's a team that could go on a run if they get in, because you can't count out Brady. You can't. Because if he gets time, just like Rodgers will pick you apart, and Brady will pick you apart if he gets time.
I think the same issue that Brady has as Rodgers does is the lack of weapons.
Yeah. I mean, even when his weapons from a couple of years ago, they're just not making the plays now, like Godwin and Evans and that. They're just not. They're not coming up with the plays.
And I think what hurts them more than you might think is Leonard Fournette being out.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that you don't have a solid run game, man.
He's a beast. LSU guy, team that you love.
Oh, man.
You know,
you want to talk about loving a game result. Can't believe Jimbo. Can't, but I'm glad.
Right.
Because we'll touch on college, but man, LSU screwed themselves.
They did.
Because they're going to play Georgia in the SEC championship, and it won't even matter.
No.
You're not going to move anywhere. And you think you're going to beat Georgia? I don't think so.
Not going to happen, I don't think. So with the NFL game, though, let's run through the games. You got the games up?
Yep.
So Thursday we kind of touched on, and let's start out with the Sunday, the first games there. So what did I watch? I watched the Jets and Bears.
Man,
the Jets and Mike White look incredible.
So your boy,
but it is the Bears.
Yeah, and it's also the Bears without Justin Fields.
Right.
So,
but the Bears,
your boy Zach ain't cutting it, bro.
Well,
you were high on him coming out of BYU.
I'm still high. Somebody just sneezed on your end.
You hear that? Yeah, that's Maria. Yeah.
Is she allergic to something?
Probably me being on this show with you.
But anyway,
you know the mic's working.
The Packers, the Bears defense isn't, they're getting rid of people and everything else, but they're just not. They're not playing like they should. So the Jets, of course, look like a team to be reckoned with. Now, again, it is the Bears, so the Jets fans need to just calm down, wait till they take on a good team.
Jets, their defense is great.
Their defense is good. Yep.
And then you got this quarterback issue. And, Mike White had a great game, but it's Mike White. I mean, they tried this last season. I don't think he's the answer. He's not the quarterback of the future.
He said he should have been a number one pick.
Zach Wilson was just bad.
And Zach needs to just start playing football and not worrying about anything else in New York.
And the first thing, you cannot go into a press conference, and when you're asked if you let your defense down and you only could score 3 points and you say no,
right?
What else would there be? I mean, even if in your heart of hearts you think, no, we didn't let them down, you look at the optics of it. You have to say that. Yeah, we got to put up more than 3. All he had to say was, we got to put up more than 3 points to win a game. But basically, if no one believed in you before, your defense doesn't believe in you now.
And I think he got benched because of that.
Oh, of course.
Because I think if he'd have just came in and said, hey, we need to score more than 3 points, they would have said, okay, go out against the Bears. And he'd probably had a great game against the Bears. He probably would have. But because he said that, I think Sulla said, that's it. We got to bench you.
I think he's witnessing and experiencing the ghost of Sam Darnold. He's seeing ghosts out there.
Yep. And we got to get to that game. Let's talk about that game, Carolina and Sam Darnold against Let's Ride.
Let's ride.
And
let's ride.
Purcell, number 98 for the Denver defense, went after Russell. Of course, if you look at that clip, I'm not kidding you. I believe Russell looked at him and said, okay, let's ride. And Purcell just got irate. But with all the people that have talked about Russell leading up to this last couple of weeks from Seattle, is he a head case? Is that what's going on here? Because, man, he looks horrible.
He does. And it makes me wonder, there's that old phrase that winning cures everything.
Right.
And maybe Pete Carroll was the dangerous whisperer. Maybe Russell's always been weird, but in that system, you didn't see it. Maybe it's the altitude. Maybe he's partaking in too much of that Rocky Mountain High.
For somebody that they always claim with Rodgers that he's weird, but Russell is really off. There's something off.
Yeah, and it's been well documented that there's a disconnect. Apparently Marshawn Lynch someone asked, I think on the Manning cast, one of the Manning brothers talked about reaching out to Russell, and Marshawn was like, I don't even have his number. And apparently you have to go through management. Like, for you to get in touch with me, you got to contact my manager.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess that, but you're just you. I mean, that's you. But Russell,
You've always known me to be that way. So
I don't think Russell was like that at Wisconsin, though. Everybody loved him in Wisconsin that year that he played.
Maybe
so I'm thinking
he's sniffing a little too much of himself.
Well, maybe it's his wife. Maybe he's gotten so big-headed because of his wife. Because let's face it, she's a trophy wife.
Yeah, kind of like mine.
Kind of like yours. Yeah. So you're looking at that and you're going, okay, is this why he thinks he's bigger than life right now? Because the whole let's ride thing is not working.
No.
And you're going to cost your head coach, and maybe that's what this is all about. Maybe you don't like Hackett because you're probably going to cost him his job.
So who goes? I think, do you let Hackett go after 1 year? When you see an unstable Russell Wilson? And so the bigger question to ask about Denver, what's more of the disconnect? Is it a disconnect with the coach or is it a disconnect with the quarterback? Because you got to figure out whichever one the cancer is and get rid of him.
Well, I think the cancer is Wilson, but I just don't think they're gonna go ahead and make the move on him because of the money.
It won't be the first time a team has bitten a bullet in something like that. Look at the Cardinals taking Josh Rosen, and the next year taking Kyler Murray.
Right.
So at some point, as an organization, you got to see which one do we keep. I don't think you can't go forward. It was such a bad turnaround this season. There was hopes that Russell was going to be the difference in Denver.
Right.
And their defense is pretty good, but when your offense can't put up points, man.
It's I just don't think Hackett makes it through. I really don't. I got a feeling that the owners don't owe him anything because they came on after Hackett was hired. So I don't think
there's new ownership. Maybe they do cut ties. They're like, you know what, Hackett, you're done.
Right.
And does Green Bay take Hackett back because y'all might need him?
I think you do take him back as an offensive coordinator because I think Stenovich needs to be back as offensive line coach instead of offensive coordinator. And if he actually takes the so-called demotion, but because that offensive line for the Packers sucks. So, does Hackett come back? I think so. If he gets let go, I would think that he would come back because he's got to establish himself again to try to get another head coaching job because this was a nightmare. Going out to Denver was a nightmare. Yes. And him answering questions is a lot like LaFleur answering where he goes, well, I don't know. We got to get back to work. Everything's got to get back to work. No, if you're an NFL coach, you got to know. You got to know what's going on.
So let's just throw crazy stuff out. So Hackett goes back to Green Bay, or as we may have seen, Aaron Rodgers has thrown his last pass with the Packers. Although that contract with Russell Wilson is quite a titanic contract.
Right.
We all know there's ways to get out of contracts. Contracts don't mean anything. You can get out of them.
So you're thinking Rodgers to Denver.
Didn't he want to go there last season? Wasn't that the talk?
Well, that was talk. Yeah, as soon as Hackett got hired.
Right. So now, if I'm the Broncos and management, we got Hackett. We got the coach. Russell didn't work. A failed experiment. What do we have to do to get Aaron Rodgers? And because I think the Broncos were thinking, now it's different management, but the Broncos in the past have gotten a quote-unquote washed-up quarterback to get them to the Super Bowl. So they're going to try to repeat that with Russell. That didn't work. So now do we try to rekindle that magic with Rodgers? Maybe we can squeeze one more out of him.
Well, if you got a good offensive line, which they're supposed to have a good offensive line, and if that ownership is willing to do whatever they can for Russell Wilson to leave, then I think maybe. But I guess to look at the Green Bay situation, Jordan Love looked good. 4 plays, looked great. Could throw the ball to the sideline with some speed on it. Hit on a 10-yard pass to Christian Watson, who is incredibly fast to beat the angles that he ran through. It was incredibly fast. But is that enough to say, okay, we're going all in on Jordan Love? Now, it's not like in 2000, what was it, 7, 8, when the Packers played the Cowboys, Favre went down and Rodgers got in there and played. Well, he played, 3 quarters almost?
Yeah.
And good second half anyway. And so they knew in that, because all the adjustments and everything that was going on in the Dallas game, there was no scheme, I don't think, set up for Jordan Love. So how is he going to play when the actual defense, like, that's what I'd like to see now. They say early, like today or whatever, Rodgers can't go. So then next week against the Bears, how much pressure are they going to, or confuse Jordan Love when they have a full week to get ready for him? That's the key, I think.
I think, just me, you and I would think, no, if healthy Aaron Rodgers, he plays. And I read today that he wants to play. As long as they're not mathematically eliminated, he wants to play. But you know as well as I do, Jeff, how fan bases are.
Yes.
Every Packers fan is going to want to see Jordan Love.
Oh, I got in a fight over the weekend with somebody on Twitter that loves Brett Favre.
Like before the game?
Yeah, Brett Favre. Everything
like
Brett Favre.
People.
Well, no, it's just that, they're sitting there saying, Brett Favre was tougher. Brett Favre was this. Brett Favre was that. You know what? Aaron Rodgers is pretty tough because he doesn't talk about his injuries like Brett Favre did.
And I
Brett
think
Favre let you know.
That's what kind of hurt you guys, man. He didn't disclose because he wants to be a tough son of a bitch. He didn't disclose how bad that thumb hurt.
And he didn't disclose that he didn't get the shot either. He played a word game with everybody.
Immunized.
Right. So, I mean, it's stupid to hate him because in the 16 years or whatever it's been that he's been a starter, we have not helped him as an organization. Have not helped him.
Kind of like Tony Romo.
No, everybody goes, well, but he had Greg Jennings, he had Jordy Nelson, he had James Jones. Those guys were nothing. They were nothing. I mean, Jennings, Brett Favre had a pretty good rapport with him. But
and
Jennings,
Cobb early on.
But I mean, they weren't number ones. I mean, they weren't a Dez Bryant. You put a Dez Bryant early with Rodgers, I would have liked to seen that.
But to me, that is a testament to the work that they put in, because these guys weren't ones. But with Aaron Rodgers, they were ones. And you had an attack, which you don't have now. And you don't have the chemistry with the receivers you have. Yeah, Christian Watson's fast, but he's a rookie.
Is he going to be able to get off the line consistently? That's a big thing.
And the thing that I saw in the game yesterday was Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Now, this is pre-rib injury. But the chemistry he built with those other receivers after all those years, that's what made them great. And you're seeing now he doesn't have that chemistry with those receivers yet.
That throw for that touchdown for Cobb over the middle was an unbelievable throw.
And to think that he's making those throws with a broken thumb.
And that's what the people, But the thing is, people hate Aaron Rodgers. They would say...
Are you talking in general they hate Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, just the fans. Some fans, they hate that he's weird, number one. All right? Arrogant. They hate that. But you know what? Somebody told me, a very good friend who played in the NFL that he told me one time, he said, if you don't have and arrogance about you, you will never play in the NFL. You have to believe in your own ability to be able to play in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
He believes in his ability. Rodgers does. Now, does that make him arrogant? No. That makes him an NFL player. And when you hit that level, you're good. Bottom line. These people that sit on your couch and go on Twitter and say, oh my God, the defense is horrible. Oh my God, did you see that throw? Blah, blah, blah. We have no clue what it's like to be out there with those guys. I mean, Al Johnson told me straight out when he came out of Wisconsin and went to Dallas as a round 2 pick. He said the most important thing he learned as soon as he got on the practice field in Dallas is that the speed was different.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. So people don't understand what it's like to have a 300-pounder plus running at you that does a 4.6 40 and is coming down, towards you. Rodgers, given the time, will burn you every time. Will burn you.
And I would say most of the time he would. But there have been some errant throws, which if you look back at the season, he's had it since the Giants game.
Yeah,
and
I mean, the Detroit game, the one off the helmet, come on.
Well,
that can happen.
Yeah.
All right. And then the one, where Bakhtiari was open, I got so many different opinions on that one straight out. Why we're going to Bakhtiari on that one. Yes, he was open. But him throwing backwards. But see, the thing is this is what's wrong with the fans that don't watch the game is Aaron Rodgers has been good so long and has made throws that were unbelievable. They believe he should do it every time. He's not perfect. We all know that. Nobody is. But he's done it so perfect for so many years that then all of a sudden they start blaming everything else. Oh, he doesn't want to play. He's out with, what's her name? Blue Moon Ivy,
Rising.
Blue Moon, something like that. Yeah.
Andre Blue Moon Rising.
So, I mean, you got all these different things that don't talk about his football. You're talking about his arrogance. You're talking about you hate him because he might have shunned you because he didn't sign something for you that you pushed your kid in front to get it signed, and he walked by because he knew that the kid was doing it for you at 55 years old and you were going to sell it on eBay.
That sounds like something that you experienced personally.
No, because I'll tell you what, he signed, I got a picture in back of me here, and I caught him at one of the practice days this last summer. And I had it, and that's all he did is he came up to me, and he said, "Hey, man, what's going on?" And I said, "Nothing." And I said, "Is there any chance?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "You got a pen?" Boom, he signed it. No problem. But he also probably looked at me and said, "Okay, the guy's not selling it. He's probably going to put it up somewhere. He probably judged me right there." Of course, I did sell it, but that's not the point. You know this yourself in a business that you're in, that people will push towards you somebody, maybe it's a good-looking guy, good-looking girl, whichever you're into, and say, "Hey, ask him for a pass, ask him to get backstage." It happens. People do that. They'll push their kids at a practice and say, get this signed, and then they're selling it.
That's exploitation.
It is.
I think you're taking advantage of your situation in the wheelchair, and you're trying to definitely.
Right.
So how much did you make off of that autograph thing?
$600 and some dollars.
Oh, and then you just got a new computer, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
So
I mean, how that works.
But the thing is with this, judge him on his play, okay? And remember when he said, I don't know where, I think it was on the McAfee show, and which I watch a lot because I think that it's one of the greatest shows put together on YouTube and the internet. But I think he said, a down year for me is a pretty good year for many others. And it's true. I mean, I think going into this game last night, I think he was still like number 4 in the league in a couple of stats. And I mean, yeah, he's got the interceptions this year, but we both know you could probably take half of them away and blame it on maybe routes. And then the other half, maybe he made a mistake. But you can't expect him to throw a dime when the offensive line lets people through and you're falling backwards, and then you got to throw it up over the top. You just can't expect that.
I think it's just unfortunate that we're seeing this go down, because guess what? It happens. I had to see Troy Aikman in his decline.
Right.
I've known a lot of Saints fans to see Drew Brees. His last couple seasons, man, he couldn't get it past 40 yards. And you hate to see that. And I'm thinking, is this the end? You know what I'm saying? Are we seeing this?
Like I've told you many times, I think we're closer to the end than we are.
Oh, yeah, but you're a lot closer now, because now the fans and everyone are clamoring for Jordan Love.
And you know what's funny?
Probably you know better than I do. Is Jordan Love better than Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. Well, he's got okay. So whatever game's left, he's gonna start at some point.
Yep.
The Packers are gonna say, "All right, let's see what we got in this dude." And do you think now's the time? Even though, okay, so Aaron didn't quite disclose the thumb injury.
Does he have to, though, Tracy? Does he? That's like you drumming. Do you have to disclose if you've got a sore arm? Do you walk up to your boss and go, "Well, you really got a sore arm today. I don't know if I can be able to make it." No, you're going to tough it out. You're not going to tell anybody.
Well, then it's up to the medical staff. And so if they've known that he's been like that, was it there? Did he talk his way back onto the field? Did the medical advisor say, "Man, I really don't think you can play like this"? And was he like, "You know what? I'm still going to do it because I'm a tough son of a bitch"?
Well, I think what happened is that the medical people, I happen to know one of the medical guys.
Well, you got inside info then.
But I happen to believe that they came to him and said, "Well, you can't wreck it any more than what it is. And as long as you can grip the football, then go ahead." And I think that was said. So he said, "Okay, I go out there and I throw, and it feels pretty good. Yeah, it hurts, but yeah, I'm going to go out and I'm going to play." Because in his mind, he believes he's the best choice to get the Packers to where they need to go. Now,
and that's the thing. He's seen Aaron. Aaron has seen Jordan Love. Maybe he's like, "Ooh, but me with a broken thumb is better than him."
Okay, so that's one of the points I was going to make. So go back to after the Giants game, and the team knows what's going on with his thumb. I'm sure Pat McKenzie, the doctor, the orthopedic doctor, has already talked to the team about what it is and what's happening. Does the coach not have enough balls to say, "Aaron, okay, you're done. We're shutting you down. You're gonna heal. We'll come back next year with you, blah, blah, blah"? Or does the head coach, who's supposed to know everything about the team, sitting there going, "We can't put Jordan Love in. We got to let him play. We got to keep Aaron playing"? So what is going on? Like I said, Jordan Love looked good last night, but can you take 4 passes and say, "Wow, yeah, he's a lot better than that Kansas City game last year"? No, you can't. You can't.
I think you would. It's setting itself up for, you're going to see what you got. And I do feel, and I feel pretty good about this, man. I'm pretty sure.
So you got 5 games left?
Yeah.
5 games left.
They're rolling. They're going to see what they got, because
5 games. Jordan Love has to start all 5 games before
you can make a decision from that point.
Right.
You either get rid of him or you get rid of Aaron, because you can't keep both.
And that's what I think has to happen. If Aaron's today, I haven't heard anything yet. Nothing's came over. I got it on where it's supposed to let me know if something does come on the internet over, but nothing has come over as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what has to happen here is Jordan Love starts all 5 games coming up, and then we'll be able to see what Jordan Love's all about. Now, I'm not saying that this guy his mind probably is a whole different, because Roger said last night in his press conference, he said what's more important is that he's thinking a lot faster. And so, yourself, that's the key to NFL. If you can, as a quarterback, process fast what's going on with defenses, that's going to help you. But I'm just saying, like I said in the beginning, I said, okay, wonder if a team has 5 days to scheme, like a Belichick, okay? 5 days to scheme against you. Where does Jordan Love then, where is he? Or Andy Reid, where is he at that point? Then I would believe. I mean, against Kansas City, he didn't play that bad. Yeah, he had a couple of goof ups. But what did they lose that game? 13-10, I think, last year? So Jordan Love wasn't completely bad, but he didn't move the ball either. So I'm wondering if you design plays against him in the next 5 games would tell us how much he's grown. Because you also got to think about paying him this 5th year.
Right.
So
this is a prove it. You got 5 games. And
5 games.
Aaron, how much? Okay, let's say you're the brass with Green Bay.
Right.
And we're talking, me and you. And we're like, yeah, I think it's time to bench Aaron. We'll use the injuries as an excuse because we got to see what we have in Jordan. Cool. Then you go to Aaron. Hey, Aaron. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and run with Jordan. And then Aaron's like, no, you're not. Because he's held the organization hostage before. So do you not physically, but do you say, no, Aaron? Are you afraid to make him mad? Are you afraid to hurt his feelings? Or are you just like, you know what? This hasn't been a good season. Maybe it's time for you to go.
So do you believe that if you're a quarterback of a team and you're a Hall of Famer, like Aikman, like Peyton Manning, do you believe that guy should not have one say in who you're drafting, or at least talking about in adding to the team?
And so that's why we're going back to this old wound that never heals.
Because the hostage thing that everybody talks about, Brett Favre held the Packers hostage. You think Brett Favre didn't take money that hurt us in signing other people?
He took money, okay.
and he's still taking money.
He's still doing it.
But you really think that Brett Favre didn't get paid? Of course he did. And Rodgers is getting paid. He should get paid with his career. But to sit there, everybody says, he's holding us hostage. He's not making his decisions. Well, he said last night, I'll make a decision about next year. When you know what? I am sure, has already talked to the general manager, and we don't know what's going on back. All right. But the thing is Aaron Rodgers don't care if he's the bad guy. He don't care. And he is going to be that type of guy. He believes, and sometimes I think he believes he's the smartest guy in the room. And he's going to do what he wants. He's going to say what he wants. And all these other people, like I said, they don't hate him. They hate him for completely other reasons. And he's weird. He's this and that. You know what? I don't care who he dates. I don't care what he's saying. I don't care if his ego. I don't care if he talks to his family or not. They bring that up. Well, what kind of guy is that if he can't talk to his family? Now, we all know we got crazy people in our families that we don't talk to.
Not the only person that doesn't talk to someone in his family.
Right. So, I mean, knock that off. That's just crazy. That's talk that doesn't mean anything. And we don't know the history between his family and him. There could have been a lot of things about that.
Yeah,
that we don't know about.
That's neither here nor there, but it all contributes to what the mystery what Aaron Rodgers is.
It contributes to the fact that there's something to dislike about him, and they're going to do it. That's the way social media is. They want to spark up, conversation, arguments, whatever. That's why I love the fact that what was it, last week or a week before, Twitter was going to be dead. It was done. It was over. And now the people are mad because Elon Musk is answering them. Now, he might not be giving them the answers that they want, but he's answering them. And that's what Rodgers does. He doesn't give you the answer that you want, But, that whole COVID thing, Tracy, yourself, he outsmart the reporters because the reporters should have kept on asking the questions.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's the media's fault because they didn't press him. So once again, there's this mystery of Aaron Rodgers. Ooh, let's not make him mad. Let's not do this. If he would have been in the media in New York or Dallas, I guarantee someone would have asked to clarify.
Right.
And not taking a shot at the Green Bay media because I don't know him. You do. I think they should have pressed the issue. And because if you watch that, he's waiting for a follow-up. And they don't do it.
And what makes it?
Now we're going forward. And once again, it's going to be this mystery. And if I'm a Packers fan, I'm like, oh, so you're going to put us through another offseason of if you're not going to come back? Great. Let's just take Jordan Love. It's like, you know what? We're done. We're over it. We're moving on.
And what makes these media guys so smart about a game that they never played just because they watch it like me and you? I mean, that's like me sitting here telling you, well, no, you shouldn't have hit your cymbals like that. You should have done this. I don't know nothing about drumming. Why would all of a sudden now, just because I watched you for the last 20 years, I'm an expert?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing, with us doing this show. We're just kind of talking.
Right.
But some of these other folks, man,
they're serious.
And that's their job. And
right.
You think, okay, if it's your job, then shouldn't you be a little better at it?
And they're not. No. So that's, I guess that's where we got to see is today if they finally make a decision and say, all right, he's not going to play the rest of the year. Jordan Love gets out there. Now we get a good look at Jordan Love every week for the next 5 weeks, and we'll see what happens with him.
I think, that's the best thing to do because that's what the fans want. Give them what they want, and you find out. Because you find out if this is your guy because you're going to be playing in these next 5 games. You got the Bears, the Rams, Vikings, and Lions. To me, it's setting up perfectly for the Packers organization to see.
Right.
Because guess what? There's probably some teams out there that would take Jordan Love.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But then, are you just bandaging an open wound if you get rid of Love and you still have Rodgers?
So here's the other question to you before we move on to, I want to get to some of these games. If Jordan Love was the guy, he's ready. He's ready. I see it. How come Nathaniel Hackett didn't go after him?
Because
they would have given up less.
Oh, of course. So is that a judgment upon Jordan Love once again? Is that saying, well, maybe he's not the guy? Because you're right. Hackett leaves, and if Jordan's the second coming of, I don't know, Warren Moon, then you take him with.
Right.
Because you're getting him on the cheap.
Right. So I'm just wondering, if everybody's so high on him with the coaches, why didn't Hackett steal him? Because he had the chance.
Well, I think we're going to see. And we're going to some things, it's going to be messy. Don't get me. I mean, it's going to be messy because Aaron Rodgers is not going to go down without a fight.
And he shouldn't.
No.
And because it is his team, and I think it comes down to like a Brady. As long as he wants to play, I think you play it. But like I said, there's breakups all over. Brady from in New England. Whoever thought he was going to leave New England with the run he had? So he can go anywhere. But the sad thing about it, if Aaron Rodgers goes to an NFC team, the Packers will regret it for the next 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
All right. Yesterday, looking forward to this next game for them. Miami Dolphins just came in, and Texans are the worst team ever.
Oh, yeah, they're pretty bad.
But Miami going to play 49ers this next week.
Man, that's going to be a grudge match because McDaniel came from there.
Right.
And apparently they're a little pissed because he took a few running backs with him. So
right. So the Dolphins are going to be, I mean, I think they'll be prepared against the San Francisco's defense. And don't forget, Miami's defense is pretty good.
They are pretty good.
And so I think that's going to be a good game this coming week. The Dolphins against the 49ers to take a look at.
I kind of that's going to be a prove-it game for both squads because it's AFC, NFC, so you really don't have any divisional standings to mess. It's not a division game.
And then yesterday, Bengals and Titans. Titans just didn't get it done again. But, boy, did you see that Karras walking off the field from the Bengals yelling at the Titans fans?
Yeah. Once again, it boiled down to a special teams gaffe on the Titans.
Right.
And, you believe me, I know that you've had your share of special teams mistakes. Right. That's coaching, man.
It is.
That's coaching.
So Vrabel got to bounce back, of course.
But they're in a weak division, unless I don't see anyone catching them.
Well, tonight we'll see what Jeff Saturday has for the Colts tonight.
Do we have to watch that?
I mean, it's Steelers are going nowhere. It's going to be the first losing. Probably going to be the first. Yeah, this is going to be a losing season for Tomlin. So
I don't see. There's nothing that's really tantalizing about this matchup tonight.
And what's up with the Falcons? Up and down, up and down, up and down. Now the Washington. Did you see that horrible statue that the memorial they put up for? Oh my, that is so bad for Sean Taylor.
I know. You could at least get an accurate uniform.
Yeah,
like he had Adidas shoes on, but they're World Cup shoes.
But see,
they say World Cup on them.
Right, there was wrong shoes, but the Nike. He was a Nike guy, but he was the first player to use soccer spikes in the NFL. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
He was the first player. So that's what the shoes were about, was those type of shoes. But he used them because they were lighter. And so he was the first player to do that. So it was just the wrong shoe. That's all.
It was wrong shoe, wrong jersey, wrong pants.
So, I mean, just horrible. Another thing but just think that owner's going to walk away with $7 billion.
Yeah.
For that team. That's incredible. And the Commanders win yesterday. I mean,
so if the season ended right now, which I love when people say that, because it's not, the entire NFC East would be in.
Right. And that's something.
Yeah.
And Heineke, I'll tell you what, he's kind of a scary guy. He's kind of got that Brett Favre mentality where he's going to throw it around and see what happens. But it can move a little bit and all that. So Commanders, though, they win. Ravens are another team that I don't know what's now. What came out today? I missed it this morning. I was trying to get to it. I was going to look it up. Something came out today that Jackson said something. Was it something about homosexuality or something? I don't know what it was, but does that guy not know that he's playing for a contract right now, or what?
I don't really know if he's got a lot going on upstairs anyway.
Because, but I'll tell you, I watched the ending of that game because it came on the TV, and I think who grew up yesterday was Trevor Lawrence. I think we're going to see a different quarterback from now on, from Trevor Lawrence, because I think he grew up yesterday with Peterson. That 2-point conversion, I mean, he put that ball on a dime.
And you know what? With a team like Jacksonville, what do you got to lose? Yeah. You get a statement win. That could be your statement win for the season because you're not going to win the division.
Right.
You're building. So, you know what? I get it. And Doug Peterson, I think, is the best thing that's going to happen to Trevor Lawrence. I
think so too. Yep. I think so too. Then you got the Raiders and Seahawks. Seahawks had that game for a while. Raiders came storming back. They win in overtime, 40-34. Excuse me, 40-34. And so Devontae had a good game again, but again, 4 wins. So they're the same boat as what the Packers are.
Yeah, and we talked about it. I thought they'd be better. Devontae had 7 receptions for 74 yards.
10 yards a pop.
And
so
really what shocked me is the Seattle Seahawks and how well they're playing with Geno, but they're not going to win the division. The 49ers got that. But did you hear the news? And I'm really excited about this. Next season, they're going to go back to their silver Steve Largent helmet and uniform.
Really?
I'm so excited. That's one of my favorite uniforms. As a kid, I loved the Seahawks uniforms. This blue thing they got going on. And I get the lime green is cool. It pops. You can still use that like lime green, but please go back to the silver helmets for good.
Chargers, Cardinals, your buddies, are they gonna make it to next year? Your two friends there?
I'm thinking that they can't do anything with Kyler, so Kingsbury's got to go.
Do you think the GM goes?
No.
Do you think he stays?
I think he's the next to go, though. I don't think you clean house completely. Unfortunately, I think Kingsbury's going to be the one to take it.
Okay, so you're the general manager of the Arizona Cardinals.
And because I'm partying.
Well, no.
And I'm hanging out with Blake Shelton.
I want to know, what do you look for next? Because Cliff was supposed to be the genius offensive guy. I mean, he's supposed to bring in. Well, and they don't look that much
on
of a
paper.
Genius.
He recruited Kyler,
right?
And you're running a system that he's familiar with,
but that he doesn't study,
apparently. And so it looked like it was going to work out very well, and they were going to be the second coming of the air raid. And it's not working that way because we all know, like you said, once you get to pro football, it's a lot different.
Do you think? I'm just saying, now, if the Cowboys win the Super Bowl or have a good showing, okay?
Good showing. I'll give you a good showing. Let's go there. Let's start.
Kellen Moore goes to Arizona, head coach. Or does Jerry try to block that?
Jerry's done enough to try to block it. I think we've dodged a bullet a few times with Kellen Moore. If you know, every time that a team has a good season, coaches are going to get plucked.
And look at McVay. So, I don't think they're plucking this year from him.
Who's that?
From McVay over there in the Rams. I don't think
there's
this
no
year.
Plucking over there.
No.
So they went all in for the Super Bowl. They got it, and that's it.
And I think the DC in Dallas will get another chance.
Jerry, if he's smart, is going to give that man a raise.
Right.
He needs to.
Keep him.
And, McCarthy, hey, so far so good. Well, you got to make a playoff run.
Right.
I don't think he's safe. That seat might not be hot, but it's warm.
Or do you think the Cardinals go after Sean Payton before the Chargers do?
So Sean Payton, he can pick who he wants to go to.
Right.
Heck, what if Hackett leaves Denver? But for Sean Payton, where do you go? What's the quickest way to get back to glory? And if
you got to go with the quarterback,
Staley, yeah,
you got to go with somebody that like a Herbert. I think.
Yeah. So to me, it looks like it would be Herbert, and he goes to, they go to the Chargers. But then does Sean Payton find Kyler Murray intriguing if that job is open? I don't know if he wants to do that.
I don't know if Murray can be an NFL great quarterback.
No.
I don't know if he can.
Because he's had great seasons. We know that. But then that doesn't finish. Well, this season has been terrible for them.
See, this is what I think what will eventually happen is we're going to find out in Green Bay that Jordan Love might not be the guy.
Yes.
I think he'll be traded to Arizona and he'll become a star and it'll be under Sean Payton.
I don't really see the connection with Sean Payton and Jordan Love. I don't think that's enough of a selling point. I don't think you want to take on, if you're coming out of retirement, you don't want to take on a project at quarterback. And I think Jordan Love would be a project. New system, all this stuff. If Peyton's coming in, he wants the path of least resistance. He's in LA.
And there's people today.
Defense.
There's people today saying that LaFleur's in trouble. I don't believe it.
Okay, so can I ask a question? And this is a very selfish question. This is for me.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you think he gets his hair cut? Because I would love to have a fresh cut like that all the time. I mean, he spends a lot of time on his hair.
I think the barber's probably right there in the organization, right?
Does he cut it every day, every other day? Does he get it trimmed up on Saturday? Because
probably Saturdays.
I want to find his schedule because, as you can tell, it's time.
Because he blocks. I mean, let's face it, he does very well on his eyebrows.
Oh man, everything. Does he wax? Does he thread? You know what threading is? Have you ever seen that? That looks painful. My daughter has done that threading thing, and it doesn't.
Did you say it was painful?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
But he and McVay must share some grooming tips because they both look perfectly coiffed.
McVay's having a rough time. I mean, the Chiefs look good again yesterday.
You saw him get headbutted by his own player.
Yeah. I'm not, I know everybody loves Mahomes, all right? I know it. I know he's great. I know that he's a good quarterback, but I'm still not sold on the guy. And maybe it's because they got beat last year. I don't know. Maybe he's got to come and win this year, and then I'll say, okay, yeah, he is the next coming of, the greatest. But I don't know.
I'm in on Mahomes.
I think Hurts is just as good a runner, if not better.
I'd say Hurts is a more powerful runner.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure. Steelers and Colts tonight. We're talking about that, but it's a Monday night game. It's funny that can't they flex out of Monday night games?
I wish.
A better team. So I think
I'm going tonight to watch one of those Christmas holiday Hallmark movies.
Which you've been watching for a while now, about a month or so. I know that you've been watching.
Always the tension. When are they gonna kiss? And they always do at the very end, man. And sometimes you're like, maybe it's not gonna happen. And it always happens.
It always happens at the end, yeah.
There's always the kiss.
So next week, it's going to be Colts and Cowboys. Of course, Cowboys should be able to take care of that one.
It's a night game, which is kind of weird, man. You want to talk about flexing the game. That should be like at noon. But
if you look at all the games next week, the Jets and Vikings are going to be a good game because the Jets, like you said, have a great defense. So we'll see what happens. Because we all know you put pressure on number 8, he doesn't look very good. You leave him sit back there, he can throw it. So Titans and Eagles, like you said, could be a good game.
We'll see.
Bills and Patriots.
That's a Thursday night game. So,
here's my question too. Now, and we'll finish this up here because we got a little bit of college ball to talk about. And next week, I'm hoping because I think the winter meetings for the baseball is going to be coming up, and I'd like to get our friend David on if he can come on, and then also my friend JD French, who's with the Atlanta Braves organization as a scout, senior scout. Josh Allen. He's not the guy from the first 4 or 5 games.
No,
something's going on. So how come we're not mad at him for not telling us that he's hurt?
Because he's definitely able. He's tough, but he's still. I don't think it's affecting him as much.
Well, he's throwing interceptions.
Yeah.
He's putting his defense in bad areas.
But the defense is good, and you still got all those weapons. So I think he's able to hide a little bit.
Von Miller's probably out. He's got a patella injury. So he's done. So, I mean, now all of a sudden, are we going to talk about how, if they don't make it into the playoffs or go far in the playoffs, then we're going to sit there and say, well, Josh had a bad year because he was hurt. Well, why didn't he tell us that?
Oh, so you're comparing that to an Aaron Rodgers scenario.
Just saying.
Well,
If
like
you want to know about
man,
Aaron Rodgers, then you need to know about all these other guys too. Now, we knew about Dak because Jerry came on and said, the one good thing could happen is if we had a quarterback controversy here. That's what your boy said.
That's what he said. And once again, it got all twisted, because ideally you want to have happen exactly what happened. Your backup come in and play well. Now, if you're a smart man, I'm not a smart man, but I know what a backup quarterback is. You know that Cooper Rush isn't better than Dak Prescott. But he did exactly what a backup quarterback is supposed to do. You keep the stove warm. Okay.
Yep.
It's like, you're cooking Thanksgiving dinner and you got to go to the bathroom.
Right.
Well, you leave someone there to watch the pot so it doesn't boil over. And that's exactly what Cooper Rush did. So,
did you see where I made my first pumpkin pie ever?
Man,
for Thanksgiving.
I saw that bone left over from that whatever
prime rib. Oh. Prime rib. Man, how'd you like that?
That looked pretty good.
I made that too.
So you made all that stuff by yourself, or did you have a friend come over?
No, made it all by myself. I did the pumpkin pie. I did a chocolate, kind of a chocolate mousse kind of pie. More of probably a French silk is probably what it is.
I don't believe you because I need to see pictures. I saw the after.
Hey, on my mother's grave, my hand there. I'm telling you, I made the prime rib. It was awesome. Took the recipe right off the internet and said, okay, this is, a lot of it had like, you got to put onions on here, and I don't like onions. So of course I skipped those.
You can use onion powder instead.
Use onion powder. But so I skipped that, but it came out perfect. I mean, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tried the pumpkin pie with my friend Jody. She texted me and she said, it's the easiest. You met Jody in Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy. I'll give you the stuff and you can look at it and just follow it. So I did, but she had told me, she said, there's one thing in there. I think it's cloves. If you use the cloves, don't worry about the pumpkin spice or something. And then the pumpkin spice instead. Well, I just did both. And the flavor came out like you would not believe. And it was sugar-free. I did it sugar-free with Splenda.
Man.
And the taste was incredible. Made 2 of them, 2 chocolate pies, and my prime rib had a little bit of potatoes, very small potatoes.
Small potatoes.
And had some green beans. And it was just unbelievable.
And that was your Thanksgiving dinner?
That was my Thanksgiving dinner. And what I did is, everybody said, well, where are you going to go? You can't sit at home. I said, you know what? My Thanksgiving for the last 50 years has been sit at home, watch football, and eat. Well, guess what? I don't need people around to have that happen because I like the place to be quiet when I'm watching football. I'm one of those people that can't turn down the TV and then just watch the game. I got to hear what they're saying. I got to hear what that play-by-play guy's saying, what that guy that's doing the analyzing of it. I got to hear all of that. And so what better way is to sit by yourself and have your own little meal and watch the TV of what you want. So you don't even have to fight with anybody to watch TV.
So you were alone on Thanksgiving?
I was alone and I loved it.
Well, good for you. I think that saying is you can't love anyone else until you love yourself.
That's right.
Are you practicing a lot of self-love?
I have been. And
like Jordan's self-love?
And Thanksgiving Day proved that I love it. So it was great. And
I'm looking at Twitter, and your boy Jared Stillman on 102.5 The Game in Nashville, he just tweeted, the Titans coaching staff was horrendous yesterday. Most notably Craig Ackerman and Todd Downing. Maybe because Todd Downing was still drunk. Maybe he had a hangover.
We didn't get a chance to talk about a couple of things before we go to college here, because like I said, we got to talk about Wisconsin. We got to talk about Nebraska. But we didn't talk about 2 things. Last week, Downing, of course, we didn't get a chance to talk about that because we didn't find out until later, I think, in the day that he got picked up for drunk driving after the Packer game. He flew home, must have been at some party or partied on the plane.
But they're not supposed to drink on the plane, right?
Right. So he gets drunk driving, whatever that is. I think we all know that Vrabel likes to throw a couple of back, too. I don't think he's, so bad situation. So guess what? He's going to get blamed for a lot now the rest of the year because they're all going to say he's drunk or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. But here's the biggest one I have for you. And I wish I had the picture because I don't have the picture. Is there any way you can explain to me what your head official, Mike Pereira, was doing?
Yeah, off camera.
What was he doing, Tracy?
What is that?
What was that all about?
He's licking imaginary ice cream.
I mean, what was he thinking? And who was the guy in his head, in his ears saying, hey, don't do anything. I got the camera on you.
Well, the red light wasn't on, or so he thought. I want to know who the recipient of that was.
Right. I want to know that too.
Yeah.
So let's just hope whoever it was is somebody that he's been involved with, because if it's not, oh boy, we got another Urban Meyer thing going on.
Yep.
So, all right, let's go to college real quick. Wisconsin made a bold move, I believe, because they went against what everybody wanted, the fans. They wanted Jim Leonard, who is a great coach. Now, is Jim Leonard the guy that should come to Green Bay and take over for Joe Barry? I don't believe so. I believe Marvin Lewis should get at least a call and say, hey, what do you think about this? Why can't we get this thing going here? But Jim Leonard gets kind of like shunned a little bit because Luke Fickell decides, even after last year, he had a chance at the Notre Dame game, the Notre Dame team, USC. Can't remember all the other ones that he was up for. Oklahoma, I think, was another one. Turned them down last year and then comes to Wisconsin. Now, doesn't that seem like a little bit like he'd be an out of reach guy if he had all those other ones and all of a sudden Wisconsin comes up? And I know money's very important. $6 million a year, it looks like he's going to be paid. The conference for him today is going to be about 4:00 this afternoon. But he's coming to Wisconsin that has to rebuild this whole thing. I'm sad to see because I don't know what's going to happen with the coaches. Nothing's come out with but I'm sure they'll have to be interviewed by Fickell and see which ones keep their job. Now, hopefully our friend Al Johnson maybe gets put as the offensive line coach. That would be kind of cool if he'd take that job. I don't know if I haven't talked to him, but maybe it would be good for him to take the offensive line coach there and see what he can do with the line, because the line was horrible, but I think that last series and losing to Minnesota over the weekend kind of did Jim Leonard in, because the offensive line just completely, they sucked. And the penalties and everything, they were I think on the 6 maybe yard line and ended up at the 30 with all the penalties at the end of the game. So Luke Fickell, what does he bring? Brings that toughness, that Ohio toughness, and he's going to recruit. I mean, look at the people he brought to Cincinnati that are in the NFL. He's going to recruit. What can he do with all this new stuff that's going on in college? Who knows? But I know he can bring some people in. So does he start completely over? Because now you got some of the, before he was hired, some of the players for Wisconsin saying, well, if they don't hire Leonard, they're idiots. Well, guess what? Now they didn't, and you're still on the team. Are you on your way out for saying something like that?
Now you have the transfer portal, so all those guys that were recruited by Leonard can enter, and by the same token, you got all these kids and coaches at Cincinnati, much like what happened with Louisiana and Florida.
Right. When
Napier left and went to Florida, a lot of players went with him, a lot of coaches went. So you can look at, and I don't blame a kid if you're going to go from that conference into the Big Ten. You're gonna go, yeah. If you're from Cincinnati, you bet. Yeah. So you're going to have those coaches and those players coming in. And, I mean, a jump from the American Athletic Conference to the Big Ten is a worthy jump.
Right.
So, and I also got to throw out some props to my boys at Tulane for that big win over them.
That was a big win
this past week. Tulane's 10-2, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, they've always been like my second team in the state. Because
TCU has been playing well too.
Yeah.
They're playing well. But to finish about Philco, I mean, he's a defensive guy. He's he was a defensive lineman, Ohio State, coached the linebackers for years at Ohio State. Special teams, I think he did too, but linebackers were where he made his money. And of course, he coached one of the Green Bay's own AJ Hawk, and AJ's high on him. I think AJ probably really likes to hire.
Maybe he goes and coaches at Wisconsin.
No, he said he's not a coach. So I just think that
neither Jeff Saturday, but
here's your thing. I just think that you got to come in and you got to recruit. Wisconsin has always been offensive linemen. Been great offensive linemen that come out and play the next level. But I think you got to get that receiver. You got to get a quarterback. I mean, this Mertz is not the guy. And so how do you get a quarterback that has a chance to play at USC, UCLA, or the Southern teams that come up to Wisconsin and be a quarterback up here? And that's where his recruiting is. He's got to get good. I mean, he's got to be better than ever. And I think you get the right people around you, that recruiting becomes easier. So I think it's a good hire for Wisconsin. It's outside the box. Got to hand it to Chris McIntosh, the athletic director, in going that route. And then talk a little bit about Matt Rule going back to the college game to Nebraska. Now talk about a rebuilding program.
Right. Man, Nebraska has had a tough go of it for a long time. Gee whiz, the last time they won was the Tom Osborne. I mean, come on. Yeah. And for Matt Rule, it's like much like Nick Saban when he left the college game and realized, you know what? I think I like this pro thing wasn't this didn't work out for me. And Nebraska is another one of those schools that for so long they were so good and then nothing. Just nothing. So
I mean,
is he going to be the right fit? I don't know.
I remember growing up in Nebraska, Oklahoma, every week you wanted to watch them. You wanted to watch Switzer against Osborne. And I go back so far that one of the best players I think to ever come out of Nebraska was a guy by the name of Johnny Rogers. Now people can go look up that name. He was incredible. Was a great returner. And that's when they had Green Bay's own Jerry Taggy as quarterback. And everybody wanted Taggy to come to Green Bay. Come back to Green Bay and quarterback. Take over for Bart Starr. And that didn't go very well when they got him back in Green Bay. So, but I think Rule's going to do good. He realizes, I think what happens sometimes is those guys like a Saban, they get in there, they can't rule by fear as much.
No.
In the NFL, because you got guys that are making a ton of money, and most of them that are making that money know they're not going to be cut, so they can do pretty much whatever they want. And I think those type guys, like an Urban Meyer, same way, you can't do what you were doing in college.
And then the other thing now with the NIL stuff and the transfer portal, it's becoming semi-pro. So even a player now in college, before you could hold that over them.
Right.
And you could still be hard on the kids. They had no options. Well, now I think you're going to see a lot of these coaches are adjusting to it. So you don't like the coach, you can transfer. So it's not quite as like the way it used to be as far as having a college coach rule with an iron fist. But it's a different thing now in college.
And like Bogey says here on, that you got to start rebuilding, and rebuilding year or two. I don't know. I think they can rebuild faster, but I think they have to look to different avenues to do that. Now, here's the other thing. They always talk about Wisconsin was so hard to get into, with your grades and that. I don't think that's really true. I think a lot of those players had gotten their degrees after they were done playing. So I think these days, I don't think that's, Notre Dame maybe still has that a little bit, Stanford, but
Vandy definitely does.
Vanderbilt, but they did get one win though. That was pretty good there a couple of weeks ago.
Got that win over Florida. And then
so
they had back-to-back wins in Kentucky and Florida, but then that buzzsaw Tennessee with the creep coach.
Yeah, came in again and won there. But so I mean, the college game is starting to look a little bit different now. The playoffs will start to, everybody will be talking about the ratings and all that kind of stuff, where they're at, the standings. But it's going to be interesting. It was sad to see Notre Dame lose to USC. I really thought that they were going to show better at USC, but Lincoln Riley's got that thing going. Does he? I mean, after 1 year, I don't think he would skip, but is he a guy that somebody would go after in the NFL and say, "Hey, let's give it a shot and give him a bunch of money"?
They're going to think about it, but I think he's still got something to prove at USC.
Yeah.
The Oregon State game. I mean, once again, I think the Pac-12 always finds a way to hamstring themselves. Here's Oregon. All they got to do is beat Oregon State, and then you make a solid showing.
Right.
They don't. So as of now, USC's 4, but of course the college playoff rankings don't come out till Tuesday. But man, right now Georgia's 1, Michigan 2, TCU. Talking about Michigan, that was a prove-it game.
Right.
I don't know how you feel about Harbaugh, but I'm glad for him because he's stuck with the program and they stuck with him.
I like Harbaugh. I mean, he's competitive, but you should be if you're in that position.
Yeah, and 3 is TCU, which you can consider what the Pac-12 is doing, and then what the Big 12 is doing with all these teams that are, because that conference is kind of up in limbo with some of those teams, which is funny because Texas and Oklahoma leaving to go to the SEC is just weird. Anyways,
I think TCU though is the shocker maybe of the year. I really do.
I do.
I think that's the real shocker for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched Georgia a lot this year. I really don't see anybody beating them. I just don't.
No. And for LSU to have to play them in the SEC championship, LSU, they screwed the pooch by losing to Texas A&M.
Right.
That dropped them to 11 right now. So
Jimbo continues to win big games, even though he has a bad year. Interesting, isn't it? I think it is.
My Raging Cajuns got into a bowl game. They beat Texas State. A really good game against Texas State. So we keep the streak alive. We're going on 5 bowl games in a row.
Wow. So
it's looking like the Independence Bowl.
Okay. So they go to Independence. That's in Memphis, isn't it?
That is in Shreveport.
Well, Shreveport.
Liberty Bowl.
Well, that's good. They're staying in Louisiana then. That means they can have Young Yump days. Right? Have a little bit of crawdaddies. Fire them up before the game. What do you think?
They may have a crawfish bowl because crawfish season's starting earlier and earlier. So
maybe they will. They'll have big, and then they'll have the Young Yump days.
Why don't you go visit your family, and then I meet you and we go to the game?
We go to the game? We could do that. But I'm just thinking I would rather go to your college for that big when they put the movie on and that, like the Dukes of Hazzard that 1 year.
So old.
Well, but that's that days. Young Yump days. That's what they do. I'm
not even going to correct you.
They put that nice movie up. This year will probably be Top Gun.
The first one.
No, the second one they'll put up. That's probably the one that they'll show.
Like when I was in school, they would have done the first one. They couldn't afford the good one. So
what did you see that year when you were in, or a couple of years?
I didn't go.
Do you remember? You didn't go to Young Yump days?
No, man, I was too busy playing gigs. I mean, I loved it because we could skip class, but I didn't go out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
You didn't even support your own school.
Not for that.
Man.
I was probably studying.
But now all of a sudden you're going to every game because you can you can sit on the field and all this kind of stuff. You around that football program, you turned into me around Blake, like I do around Blake Shelton. The only reason why I go is to stay away from people.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. You
Yep.
could sit on the field and hang out with everybody.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I got to take a picture with the basketball team one time. That
Really?
was pretty cool. Yeah.
They
It's
let
so
you
funny.
play
You look at the
scrimmage?
picture and it's like, oh, hey, look, players. Oh, look, a coach. What's that other guy doing? Who's that guy?
So are you ready to say that you're all in on Dallas or not?
No.
Really?
No.
Just because you're thinking it's going to jinx you?
No, I'm just being realistic about it because I'll tell you this at the beginning of the season, and I keep telling people this. I'm not going to be all in until you win a playoff game.
Okay.
You know?
So the first playoff game they win, you're in.
I'll be warming up to them.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll be warming up.
Well, any big gigs this week that we should know about with you?
So Wednesday at Old Red, it's not televised or anything, but it's the premiere party for Barmageddon.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then
that's a big new show coming out with your boss. Hey, I was watching somebody got me to you were talking about the Hallmark channels and everything. I was on over the weekend. I forget what was on there that I wanted to see. But anyway, a little commercial came on, a little promo for another show that I think it happened on Saturday. It said, coming home, executive producer Blake Shelton.
Man, he's doing some holiday movies, man.
What in the world is going on with that?
Hey, he's making all that money.
If he can be an executive producer, how come we're not producing our own movie here?
Because he probably knows that any idea we have is bad.
I saw that. I heard that. I was in the other room and all of a sudden I heard that come on. Executive producer Blake Shelton.
And I think his mom is the one that writes those.
Oh,
okay. I think. But Maria and I were laughing. We're like, how many times is this dude coming home? I mean, why does he keep leaving? It's like, just stay or go, one or the other. You're just like, oh, he's back again.
He's back. Okay. He's coming home this Saturday.
Oh, again, for the 5th time. Tonight.
All right. So you got Old Red on Wednesday. Nothing else the rest of the week?
And then next week we go to Los Angeles for The Voice.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
When do you fly out for that?
I fly out Sunday. And we're doing the show Monday. But I think it's airing on Tuesday.
Okay. So, all right. So we have to miss next week because you're on the road.
Because I'll be working.
Wow. Okay. So we'll be back.
I'm still working, dude.
We'll be back. I know you're supposed to be off now. I thought that's what we talked about. No. These voice things always pop up, though, don't they?
Yeah. Well, they don't really pop up. We know they're coming.
Okay.
You know, but I will say, like, the next time we do it will probably be the last.
The last
he's
one.
Leaving The Voice.
Yeah.
Unless he comes home again and they can make a Christmas movie about it.
And he might do that.
He might come home. Yes.
You know, the ratings go down after he's gone. All of a sudden, it's going to be Blake Shelton returns to The Voice.
Blake Shelton is back. He's back home with Carson Daly.
So everybody gets a chance to see what this Barmageddon is, or whatever they call it.
Barmageddon, yeah, man. It looks like it's going to be, from what we saw, it's going to be funny. But each episode took about 7 hours to film.
Wow.
And how are they going to cut out all the stuff to make it fit into the hour with commercials?
That's one editing job. The thing that's going to be
funny is just the back and forth that they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Because Blake was a coach, or not a coach, but he was on one of the teams. And I think I've told you, there's 2 teams on each episode. There's a viral VIP, which is someone who did something dumb on the internet, and a celebrity. So he was only the celebrity once, and it was up against Trace Atkins. And if I had $5 for every time Trace Atkins said, "This game's stupid," this is dumb. So I'd have a lot of money.
I'm waiting for the day that they're on stage and it's live on TV and everything. And Trace looks at him and said, I tried to steal your drummer once. And see what that conversation is. It could come up.
Funny.
All right. Well, you have a good week. We'll talk to you the week after after you get back from The Voice so you can tell us what that was like.
Sure.
Don't get in any trouble on the airplane. Don't get asked to leave the airplane. Don't get in trouble out chasing seagulls out in or whatever they were, whatever kind of bird they were out
Monterey,
in Los Angeles.
I'm going to put in my AirPods, and since it's Sunday, I'm going to try to watch as much football as I can.
Do you ever walk around like that area wherever you stay out there? Do you ever
I haven't been back
around?
Since. Maybe that's why.
Because I don't know who I was listening to. It might have been the McAfee show that they talked about how bad the homeless problem is and everything.
Terrible.
That's what they were saying. And
like when we
never
go
talked
there,
about that.
We stay near NBC studios.
Okay.
So you don't see a lot of homeless people, but you see them all over in some other spots. And San Jose is pretty terrible.
Wow.
Yeah. San Francisco's pretty bad.
Maybe they should clean up that state.
But it's the greatest state in the nation, right?
Oh, no. I just heard a car pull up by your place. Is your son home?
No. That's my neighbor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of came through today. Your mic must be working pretty good.
Either that or it's not working at all, and it's just my phone.
Picking up the sneezes and picking up some
everything, man.
Some cars. I don't know what's going on.
Listen back to it and fix it in post.
Well, you travel safe, and I'll talk to you probably before then. But because I want to know if there's anybody on The Voice that's good looking or something like that.
I don't even see him.
And tell my best buddy, my best friend Blake, hi from me.
I will. I'm sure we're gonna have a nice dinner together.
Yeah, tell him that I miss him, and maybe next year I hit one of the shows. I don't know. I don't think that's gonna happen, but you never know.
Never know.
And so go get your mail because you should be getting a package today or tomorrow. And
I can't wait, and I can't wait for the 1099 from the state of Wisconsin. I'm gonna get.
And I'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
All right, man.
All right. Go Cowboys. They got to win out now. No losses rest of the year.
See.
All right. Go Cowboys. They got to take care of Philadelphia now.
Yeah, we'll see.
One of these days, we're going to bring my friend Dennis Miller on. Huge Eagles fan.
Oh, boy.
And we're going to get him on here and let him talk a little bit too. And the nice thing about that, I don't know if you noticed or not, if they get to where I just get sick of it, then I just cut them off. It's ended, Right. So, but we'll do that too. As maybe the week. When did they play? The Eagles
play Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, maybe right before the week before there. We'll let Dennis come on and talk a little bit of trash with you.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, you have a good one. Watch the game tonight. It's going to be a big one.
I'm watching Blake Shelton comes home for the 5th time.
and it's going to be executive producer Blake Shelton.
Have
a good one.
You too, man.
Bye.
Bye.